What's up, guys and gals? Your host, most Griever, as always, bringing you guys the latest chapter review for Jujustu Kaisen, chapter 189. And I'm not gonna pretend to know the difference between the time reduction round and the points allotted round or whatever the hell went on. All I know is that Hikari went, bam, domain expansion, and boom, he got another jackpot. So the theme song power-up continues, baby. That's what I know. I'm not going to try to understand the rules of pachinko and how this is possible and stuff. According to Kishimo, basically the probability of him getting a jackpot, if he understands the rules correctly, now maybe this was him not understanding the rules because he was still shocked by this, is that it would be a 1 in 239 chance. 1 out of 239. That's pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy to me. But overall, of course, he just acknowledges that Hikari is so stupidly lucky. And you know what? That's his thing. He's the gambler. That's his shtick. He's got the lucky. I know a lot of people are waiting for Hikari to pull out this ace. People are thinking, like, if he gets 777s or something, like, this is not the pinnacle of his power. His domain has a chance of being even better in some way. And maybe it does, but I think this is pretty broken. People are saying, like, you guys know me, I'm a big Yuta stan, but people are saying that this is not proof enough that he can stand toe-to-toe with Yuta or Gojo, or he's in that conversation and stuff, like characters have been hyping him up to be. I don't see how he's not either. I mean, he's got a goddamn immortal body. He's died multiple times. He even says, after he revives himself with this domain, he says, Kishimo, you know, you have done really well. I've never come this close to dying so many times in one day before. So I'm taking this to be, of course, he's fought before against cursed spirits and stuff like that. But I'm pretty sure there's been moments like him and Yuta have sparred, and he's sparred maybe with Todo and other guys. You know what I'm saying? Like, I believe that he's been he's gone toe-to-toe with some of the best and some of our fan favorite characters for sure. And of course, he doesn't care about any of this stuff because he's like, domain expansion, baby. Now, honestly, the dialogue here felt a little choppy to me. I think that's just me, but the way I read this, like, before they start the fight all over again, and the fight's really cool. The fight's still really badass, but, you know, he says that, Hikari says that he fought that manga dude. You know, he fought that stupid otaku, you know, a Frenchman. What are you gonna do? And he said, my head's full of manga because of that. Do you like manga? He's like, no. First off, would Kishimo know what the fuck manga is? If he's from 400 years? Anyways, regardless of that point, he says no. And then Hikari just... Speaking of electricity... Excuse me, Hikari, but where the fuck, in talking about you beating up an otaku... At what point was this speaking of electricity? You know? Like, I don't know. It just felt like, okay, yeah, so you don't like manga. Well, I'm moving on to the line I should have said instead of the manga line, clearly. So I guess, anyways, that's what he was doing there. Maybe I'm just reading too much into it, but I was like, wait, what? Did I miss a panel or something like that? Like, I was like, that's a weird transition. But anyways, he apparently moved, from what I understand here, this is of course his domain and stuff, but he moved where the barrier coordinates were for the domain. So when the domain collapsed or whatever, he would be above the ocean. Now, this makes a lot of sense. We got a lot of that cool stuff going on because he's electricity based, and Kishimo even confirms that, like, yeah, my cursed energy is basically like having electrical powers. So me and water, we don't mix, right? Especially seawater, it's full of salt. That's even worse. So, yeah, that's definitely a thing there, and we'll get into that, but I guess from what I understand, when he used his domain expansion, he basically moved the coordinates of it when he released it, so he moved where they would come back into. I didn't know that was possible. Maybe that's not what happened, but he said he moved the barrier's coordinates and to open him up right above the ocean. I guess that's what he means. He moved his domain expansion. I didn't know that was a thing, that you could, like, okay, here's our bubble, here's our, you know, our dome, this is our domain expansion, and we can physically move it and then release it, you know? I didn't know that was a thing. Without the people knowing you're doing it, like, I guess that's a thing. I don't know. Probably another thing that was explained in Jujutsu Kaisen. Remember, guys, I have not reread Jujutsu Kaisen. I've only read it the one time, and there was a lot to take in and stuff like that. I should probably do some rereads when I have the time. But yeah, so if that was explained before, find any. I don't mind that he can do it. I'm just like, okay, I guess that happens, you know, that kind of idea. So anyway, as I said, Kishimo's going to get thrown into the ocean, blah, blah, blah. Apparently Tokyo Colony number 2 has an ocean barrier of all these like cursed spirits or some shit. These crazy monster centipede living in the ocean thingies. Okay, whatever, it's cool, fine, dandy. So Hikari beats the shit out of them, brings up manga again for some reason. He beats the shit out of them, and he ends up. It's sort of irrelevant. I mean, it's cool. It's a cool visual, and the fight continues as a fist brawl. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really change the outcome. He still ends up in the water. So the same result. No, I mean a little bit more time on Hikari's theme song, right? Then he ends up explaining that he's either got to cut off all his cursed energy, or he's got to use it until he runs out. He can't stop the release because it constantly wants to discharge because he's inside a fantastic conductor. So what he ends up doing is that instead of trying to suppress it, he does suppress it in a way. He uses electrolysis. Now, electrolysis, I suck at saying that word. Basically, it's a chemical process. What it does is it separates the chemicals inside of the water to separate them between a gas, you know, solid gas, like with that kind of idea. I mean, I'm not a scientist and stuff like that, but pretty much this is how you create chlorine gas. This is how you create, like, on the surface. So, because what he's doing is he's heating up the ocean, he's heating up the water with his electricity, of course. It's burning and stuff, and the steam is rising, of course, off the water. And it's turning into chlorine gas because he's managed to use electrolysis to separate, you know, the hydrogen from the H2O and all that stuff, and the compound ends up that way. So apparently this is a great way to kill a reverse curse technique user. Now, I didn't know about this one because Hikari is now full of chlorine gas. He's very, very sick. And I mean, this is a deadly chemical weapon, very, very deadly. And they bring up a little bit of the history of that. But the idea is that poison is another way. Like one-shotting their head and getting a clean hit on their brain, that's a great way to do it. And we saw him attempt that already. It didn't work. It was close, but it didn't work. The other one is poison. Now, as Kishimo explains this in not a bad way. He says that basically, like, unlike simple, like, regrowing a limb or regrowing an organ or something simple, doing that, you need to be really good with reverse curse technique. You need a high level of reverse curse technique, fantastic control, and master the technique to be able to remove foreign substances from your bloodstream, from your body, having lethal injections and all that stuff. Like, that's a whole different category of healing. You know, that's advanced healing, if you want to think of it that way. So, according to him, he's like, yeah, so, you know, his body wasn't able to treat the poison fast enough, and he passed out. So, and his immortality is ending soon. Now, this is a very good scene and blah, 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 because, of course, Hikari's not dead. He wakes up and punches him in the face. They're both in the ocean right now, and, of course, the chlorine gas can't affect either one of them now because they're not above the surface level. There's still chlorine gas in the air, but it's not down in the ocean, so they should be all good down here now that he's healed himself. So what they've explained and what they've said is that it wasn't that Kishimo, at first, when I first read the chapter, I thought, okay, I was trying to wrap my head around it. After a second read, I realized that Kishimo wasn't betting on the fact that Hikari couldn't do advanced, potentially, with his immortality, with his theme song, with his domain, that he gets this reverse curse technique and he wouldn't be able to deal with the poison. But it was a bit of a gamble on his part because he realized, like a lot of reverse curse technique users, if he passed out, he wouldn't be able to use reverse curse technique. And he passed out in the water. Once it was very quick, it's very fast, chlorine gas is very dangerous, and boom, bam, he hit the water, he was already passed out. So it couldn't heal him fast enough before it recognized it, And so he thought, he was good. And that actually makes a lot of sense to me too. Like, he doesn't automatically get to use, he's not like Luffy in One Piece, while Comatose still admitting Conqueror's Haki. Like, he didn't expect that. And apparently, according to him, like, no, I guess that's not how it is, because now he's getting his shit kicked. And basically, Hakari can pass out while subconsciously, when he's in this state, his reverse curse technique, the theme song's still playing, and it's still working whether he's conscious or not. So that makes that shit even more broken. So even if you knock him out, he passes out or whatever, you can't just attack him and think that you're going to end it, because the reverse curse technique is still doing its job. So the immortality is still doing its thing regardless of the state of Hakari. So that's actually really broken, but really cool and stuff like that. So at the end of the day, there's only 5 seconds left in the immortality, and he's worried about getting a domain expansion down here in the hot water and the electrical current and everything like that, if he's going to be able to expand the domain while under the ocean. So he's thinking about rising to the surface. What do I do? It's only 5 seconds left. It's like, screw it, I want to attack. Let's freaking go. Let's bet, because he's a gambler. It's like boom, 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 let's go, baby. So they both recognize this. They're both going to attack. And I don't know if the 5 seconds are quite up yet, but we see at the end of the chapter a giant explosion in the ocean. It's just boom, gambling their lives. Neither will back down as the final title card. And boom, boom, boom. We see this huge explosion. Of course, the temperature of the water was rising and scorching their skin. And he's got the electricity. So I don't know if he boom. And he was, because when you do electricity, once again, I don't say that word very often, so I'm probably butchering the pronunciation, but the process of turning, separating the chemicals in a solution. So basically what happens is you release other ones that are very highly explosive and highly flammable. So I'm pretty sure that's what he did. I think he was blowing up the one of the potential substances, like one of the chemicals or something like that. I'm not 100% sure, because electricity on a human body, I suppose he could try to use the ocean as a charge and blah blah. So I'm not exactly sure what caused the explosion necessarily. Maybe somebody else figured it out, and maybe I'm just overthinking it or whatever like that. But either way, he seemingly grabbed a hold of Hakari and has blown them both up to smithereens under the ocean. So that's the end of chapter 189. Two guys slapping the shit out of each other and then going out with a big boom. So I guess that is what it is, right? Anyways, that's the chapter. I liked it. Chapter 189. People thought it would be the end of the fight. I said probably chapter 189, 190. Clearly 190 is when we're going to wrap up the fight. So is what it is. I think we're on break next week from what I understand. And of course, no One Piece for a little while, so that's kind of unfortunate too, but hey, we still got some Jujustu Kaisen and stuff. We still got other video content on the way, so don't fret, ladies and gentlemen. Do not fret. So yeah, but that's the review. Like, comment, subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to drink responsibly, as I always do, and we will see you guys back here next Friday for something. I'm sure I'll come up with something. So anyways, have a good one, everyone. Signing out. Bye-bye.